show you now is how we're going to install the chain applicator onto the bike. I want to show it to you off the bike first to make it a little bit easier. You'll be able to see all the components a little more clearly where things may be obstructed when we're trying to put it on the bike. So anyway, what we're going to start with is this is the chain applicator. It's made of high density felt. This particular one's about 1/4 of an inch thick. It's got a fitting that's ported into the felt, so we're going to deliver the oil from the discharge tube through this fitting, and it's going to seep into the felt at a very controlled rate. What's going to happen to the oil from there is as your chain travels across this, it's going to deliver the oil to the inside radius of the drive chain, which eventually will be delivered to the remainder of the drive chain as the chain travels around the sprockets. The centrifugal force will force the oil out to the other parts of the chain. So where we're going to install this chain applicator, every bike that has a chain has something that looks like this. This is a swing arm slider, it's called on most bikes. This is the piece that it's going to install. There's bolts that will attach it to your swing arm. As the chain exits your rear sprocket, it's going to come across, slide across the slider until it gets to the front sprocket, and then travel back from the front sprocket to the rear on the underside. But this thing just keeps the chain from dinging up your swing arm. So how we install this, we're going to pick a location on the swing arm slider, and we're going to remove a section of this raised area that's about the width of the chain applicator. So what we're going to do is you're going to put the chain applicator on the slider. We're going to mark it. Take a Sharpie or something like that, and mark the slider. You're going to take a utility knife. Make sure it's nice and sharp, but you can see there where I've marked the slider. We're going to take a utility knife, and be careful doing this, don't cut yourself, but we're going to take it and just press down into the rubber till you get till you hit the base. Going to do that over both of the lines. Okay, once you've got that done, we're going to lay the blade flat on the base and just kind of remove a little bit of material. We're going to do that until we've cut all the way through to the other side. And if you want to go a little bit on one side, then flip around to the other side, that's fine. We'll give that a shot. Take your time doing this, so you don't. As you can see, that came out pretty good. We removed a nice section there. So what you're going to do from here, once you've got it on the bike, if you do this off the bike, if you were to take the slider off the bike to do this, I don't recommend putting the applicator onto the bike. Onto the swing arm slider until you've got it back on the bike, because you may end up knocking this off as you're putting it back on the bike. But what you're going to do once it's back on the bike, and I'll show you that, is we're going to use a supplied adhesive. You're going to rip the foil pack, cover the bottom part of the chain applicator with this adhesive, and you're going to put that onto the swing arm slider. Put your chain back in place, tighten, set your chain tension, and you're going to want to leave this to sit overnight. It takes probably about 8-10 hours for this adhesive to cure, so that this is a secure fit. So once you have been using this for a while, these things will last. Your mileage is going to vary, but I get about 5,000 miles out of these things. But what's going to happen is your chain travels across this. It's going to eventually it'll wear some grooves in it, which actually helps deliver the oil to your chain because it's kind of sitting down in the grooves. But eventually this will wear out and you'll need to replace it. But once you've done this, they're pretty easy to replace. You're just going to loosen your chain up a little bit, pop this one off. It actually will peel off fairly with a little bit of force. You just peel it back like that to take it off, clean this area up, and put a new one on. So anyway, the next thing is I'll show you how to put this on once it's on the bike. Put the chain applicator on. Once the chain applicator is on, you'll end up connecting your discharge tube up to the chain applicator, and that's how your oil is going to be delivered to your chain. So this provides for a really clean installation and is a very good apparatus for delivering the oil to your chain. So anyway, we'll take a look at the bike. Okay, we're ready to install the chain applicator. As you can see, we've got the chain slider here with the cutout already made. This is that one that's actually been in service before, so the only difference here is we don't have to do the cutout because it's already done, like I showed you in the previous section of the video where we cut that raised portion off. I've got the rear wheel slidden as far forward as it'll go without taking it off, just to put some slack in the chain. I've got a piece of wood here to kind of raise the chain up, mainly so you can see what I'm doing here. What you want to do, you want to make sure that the area that you're going to install the chain applicator is nice and clear. I've got some degreaser. This is just some orange cleaner. You can use whatever your favorite degreaser is. Just make sure that the area you're going to put it on is clean and doesn't have any oil buildup on it. It's going to make it nice and make it stick really nice. As a final step, I've included a alcohol prep pad, so we'll go ahead and open that. Wipe that over we're going to wipe that over the surface where you're going to install the chain applicator pad. Just one final cleaning. Okay, while that dries off a little bit, what we're going to do, this is the tube that we dropped down when we were installing when we installed the discharge tube. It's going to be a little bit long, but that's okay. We're going to trim it off. When you trim it off, you want to make sure you leave just a little bit for slack, so that as your swing arm moves up and down, that you don't that you're not really tugging on the tube. So what you want to do is go ahead and trim it off. We'll do a test fit here. What we're going to do is go ahead and push it onto the chain applicator barb fitting. Okay, we'll put it over here and make sure we got plenty of slack, and that's good. So we got some slack in the line. That way, as your swing arm moves up and down, it's not going to really be putting a lot of tension on the line. So we've got the area prepared. Next thing we're going to do is put the chain applicator adhesive that's included with your kit. You're just going to tear open the foil pack. We're going to squeeze some out. We're going to pretty much cover the bottom of the chain applicator. You can kind of spread that out, just kind of like cake batter on there. Covering the entire bottom of the chain applicator is going to do two things. One, you're going to be adhering it to the chain slider, but you're also going to be kind of keeping the oil from seeping through the bottom of the other part of it. So just kind of makes it a little more, helps the felt retain the oil. So I'm going to carefully move it back into place around here. Try not to get the adhesive all over everything. I'm going to press it down onto the chain slider. Okay, and like I told you in the previous video, we're going to let this cure for about 8 to 10 hours. Usually I like to let it sit overnight. Just press it firmly down on there. From there, what you can do is go ahead and remove this If you've got the chain propped up, you can remove that, lay the chain back on top of it. From there, you're going to set your, go ahead and reset your chain tension and park the bike for about 8 to 10 hours. And when you, after the 8 to 10 hours is up, the chain applicator is going to be securely on there, and you can actually ride your bike. So one thing I recommend at the before your first ride, go ahead and take some of your chain oil that you're going to fill up the reservoir with, and just kind of soak the chain applicator with it. And that's going to give you a good initial chain lube. It's going to keep so you're not running the pad dry, because there's a little bit of a time lapse between when you start moving and the oil actually flows. So anyway, I'm going to go ahead and set the chain tension and park the bike, and we'll be ready to ride it tomorrow.